So right now, you all have zero knowledge of how many people in the world have the problem that you should have discussed and figured out last night. How many of yours are like confident in your problem statement from last night? A couple, you're not there yet. Get to it as close as you can, and then you've got to keep on going on. So this is probably the most awkward thing that you'll do all weekend long, and I encourage you to do this frequently, do it in your daily life, your next business startup. I didn't do this. I do this on a daily basis because I like to work with the questions that I ask because they always give me great answers. I did Startup Weekend just like you did in 2014. The product that we made the physical prototype while we were there was a vending machine for gyms that had a big touch screen. You can say, hey, I want a chocolate, peanut butter, protein shake, swipe a credit card, and blend it in 12 seconds and drop it into a cup. I made that into a business and got rid of it in 2017. I did this entire process that I'm going to teach you during that, and like you're going to be like, it's so awkward going to a stranger and asking them are they interested in this service or this widget. There's no way you're ever going to overtake my most awkward experience in this. And that was, I was in the gym talking to two guys with their little shaker bottles of protein powder, talked to them about it, and I'm done getting ready to go to the gym myself. And this guy who's in the towel coming from the shower was like, you were talking to those guys about protein shakes, don't you want to know what I use? And I'm like, you're like 60 years old and naked in front of a towel. No, I don't. And like, he then freely shared everything that I wanted to know about workout drinks and everything like this. And I'm like, the dude is literally like toweling off naked in front of me. Like, how much worse can this get? So going to Bunnings or going to the mall or going to the library and asking a stranger for this information is much easier than you would think. And it's not going to be that awkward. And trust me, it can get really awkward, but you're not going to get to that stage. So customer discovery is about finding the people that you need to talk to. You need to think about who has already gathered the people together. So if I had a gym product, I should go to a gym or fitness facility to talk to people. If I had a kid product, a kid for, or a product for moms, where should I go? A playground. Where else? Kindergarten. What about a supermarket? Should I hang out on the meat section? Where should I go in the supermarket? The baby section. Think about who's already gathered your people together, and you can talk to 10, 15, 20 of them. Your goal is 50 people this weekend per team. In a team of 10, that's 5 each. Now, what you can't do is you can't talk to your own friends. Why do we not want you talking to your own friends? Then your friends should like you. And they should want to make you happy. And they'll probably be like, oh my, it's like your mom. You tell her you have this business idea. Honey, that's a $1 billion idea. I love you. What's for dinner? Don't talk to your mom. But there's this beautiful thing that you can swap contacts. Your friend may be a teacher, and your team needs to talk to a teacher. You schedule a time with your teacher, but it turns out you're actually busy that time. So your colleague is going to talk to your friend. Does your friend like your new colleague in your team? They don't give a shit about it. So they're going to be honest with their life. So a couple things, it's going to be really natural to say, hey, we're working, you're going to have this natural inclination to walk up to a complete stranger and be like, I know you make presentations, and I know it gets a little bit hard trying to make the presentation go while you're walking around and everything. Do you want to buy this? What's your reaction to it? Get the hell away from me, this is weird. Now instead, we don't want you to automatically go into selling because it's awkward. What we want you to do is, and I'm going to put all these on a PDF on a website and give it to you, so you can't take pictures but you don't have to. Don't sell your product. No one should ever get to describing what you think your product or service is this morning or maybe this afternoon. Save that. Ask more questions. Don't say, oh, well, I have the same problem. Let me tell you how I fixed it, and I want to charge you $20 a month to do it. Don't do that. Understand ways that they're currently trying to solve a problem. So a beautiful way to do that is like, what frustrates you about that problem? How have you been trying to address that previously? Or tell me the last time you successfully fixed that. What did you like about it? What did you? Understand why the current ways that they're trying to solve it suck. Understand how much time they're spending, the pain behind it. So about asking questions. Two types of questions, closed questions and open questions. What's an example of a closed question? Do you like dogs? Yes or no, one word answers. How old are you? One answer. That may be appropriate sometimes, but not always. You may ask a qualifying question like, hey, so you can, if you have a rental project or a home buying solution, you may ask a qualifying question like, hey, are you currently searching to buy a house? And they say no, then that's a qualifying question to move on. But if you, a better way to ask is like, hey, tell me about where you currently live. Oh, I rent an apartment. Oh, I own my own house. Oh, I live with my parents. You get a richer answer the more open the question is. And that's very common. Examples of, as you're trying to fall in love with the problem, these are the different types of problems and pains that the world has. It's economic, it costs you too much money, it takes too much time to do something. There's an opportunity cost because you're spending 7 hours on this, this prevents you from doing something else. It's just a sheer annoyance. I'll be completely honest. Baden and Troy and the other people like me in Brisbane that do these events, the slide deck that we used yesterday, we are fucking annoyed with that slide deck. Baden, how much do you love creating that slide deck?
I changed it completely.
Okay, I would love to see it today. We hate that slide deck because we have to put everybody's pictures in. It's an annoyance. We want to pay somebody to do it, and I'm building something for that. Physical, you cut your arm off, you've got to have it fixed. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, people have sexual needs and desires, that's a potential one. Emotional, fear of missing out, and access to resources. These are typically the pains that people have in problems. Open-ended questions, the first time that I do them, this is the script that I use. Tell me about a time when you purchased something online. What do you like most about your job? That's a question I love to ask, and I pay no attention to what people answer to that. Because if somebody likes something about their job, is there a pain or an annoyance there? No. So that's why I follow up with, well, what's the most frustrating thing about your job? Hey, what annoys you most about your kids? What do you hate most about driving your car every day? That's whenever the rich annoyances come through. So ask those. If you're trying to get somebody to elaborate, say, hey, share with me more about that, or tell me more about how you tried to solve this the last time. Good open-ended questions. Here's what I need you to do now, is I need you to turn to the person beside of you, and for 1 full minute, I want you to ask open-ended questions back and forth, back and forth. No closed ones like, how old are you? So open them up with, tell me about the last time that you went to the grocery store. Hey, share with me how you purchased your car. Tell me a little bit more about how you get to work. Open-ended can be about your product or not. So for 1 minute, open-ended questions back and forth. It's going to be very awkward.
All right, that's about enough time. How easy or hard was that? So we got what was the experience like? All right, guys, open-ended questions are done. How easy or hard was that?
It was hard to go straight to an open-ended question. Sort of did close-ended question first, then go on to the end.
What about others? How easy or hard was it?
Can you all hear me without this?
Yeah.
It echoes too much.
Okay, all right.
Open-ended questions is just a conversation.
It's a conversation. That's what it should turn into, is a naturally evolving conversation. Anybody else like stumble a lot and you're like, oh, close. It's really hard. It takes practice. So what you need to go do back in your team is write down 5 opening questions, and everybody uses the same ones, and then it dovetails into the conversation. But if you master your first 2, 3, 4 questions, you're golden after that. Pricing, it's going to feel natural to say, hey, I've got this product, don't you think it's worth $25 so you can walk around and control your slide deck? It's going to be natural to do that, don't do that. Instead, what you need to do is, one, understand how much they're currently paying to solve it if they are. That could be opportunity cost, that could be manually solving, it could be not solving at all, or that they've tried 17 ways for $50 a way and it doesn't work. So the way that I get to the pricing question, I'm going to say, hey, how much is that worth to you? I say, hey, give me 2 numbers. Number 1, or that I want to know, is without question, what's the amount this is worth to you if you're able to have access to it right now? And they'll be like, oh, X dollars, $20, great. And then you ask a second. You wait, you have an awkward silence while they're waiting to figure out the first one. You say, give me a second number. What's that number that you're a little bit uneasy of? You have to ask permission from your boss, your significant other. You have to sacrifice not doing something else. What's that other problem? They're like, no more than 50. So what you did is you established the floor pricing of $20, don't charge less than that. But you also established the ceiling price, don't charge more than that. So where should our pricing model be between 20 and 50? To maximize our money. $49.99, or somewhere around that. You will be shocked, and most people find out that the willingness to pay is double than what your first gut reaction is. So play this around. I love this one because people shock the shit out of you. There are 3 questions you need to ask every single time whenever you finish this conversation, this interview. Now, we do say it's customer discovery, but it's anybody in the value chain that you interact with. It could be a supplier, it could be a partner, it could be somebody that's going to give you money, it could be a user. If the person paying is different than the user, that's okay. It's anybody that interacts with what you're trying to do. So the first of the last 3 questions is, hey, out of everything we talked about, what else should I know that we've not talked about today? And there's this beautiful thing that happens, like, hey, it's cute that you want to like disinfect the shopping trolley at Bunnings, and you want to do that at Kohl's. That's actually not my biggest problem. My biggest problem is this. And then they unload on you something else, and if 5 people unload a bigger problem on you, you know what your group does? You pivot, and you do that. Give people what they want. Second question is, hey, if I have any more questions, what's the best way to get in contact with you? Notice that's open-ended. The closed version of this is, hey, can I get your mobile phone number? Which is yes or no. Assume you have permission, and then they're going to give you their mobile, they're going to give you their email, their Facebook, their Twitter, something like that. That's okay. And you're going to use that later on. And the last one is, who else do you think I should talk to about this? Because then that turns a cold introduction into a warm introduction. You say, hey, John gave me your contact information. He said you were an expert in this field. I'm like, can I just get 5 minutes of your time? Who do you think people like to talk most about in the world? Oh, you just called me an expert. I guess I have to answer your call and get on your schedule today. So there's a beautiful thing you can do is, you all have the luxury that the rest of the world is still part of their working day right now in the United States if you think you've got a global problem. And you can start emailing people, and I'm going to show you how to do it yourself. So yeah, those last 3 questions always ended up on there. I'm going to show you some of these resources. They're all going to be listed on this website. It's just myname.com/swbne19. It's not up there yet because I'm still giving the presentation. I'm going to show you the last time. If you get lost with that, just let me know, and we'll take care of it. So here's the next part. It's going to go really, really, really fast because we got 10 minutes to do this. Your team can divide and conquer, and half of you all can do digital customer discovery. The other half of you all can do in person. Here's the order of preference of what we want you to do. Is do not send out an email, a survey, or post a survey on Facebook. Surveys are completely worthless. We design surveys to get the answers that we want. If working on something ecosystem and we ask a question on a scale of 1 to 10. How important is it for us to reduce, reuse, and recycle to save Mother Earth for generations in the future? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being pretty serious, 1 being no one gives a shit. Where's everybody going to vote on that? 8, 9, 10. And then you're going to present on Sunday and you're like, 97% of respondents said this is the most important thing. No one gives a shit. But instead, if you ask a question in person, you say, tell me about the last time you recycled. Shit, I never recycle. Well, why don't you recycle? Well, it turns out I don't have any bins. Why don't we have any bins? If you can ask the question why 5 times, you'll almost always get to the question. So, no surveys. Order of preference is in person, video chat, occasional phone call, no emails, no Facebook surveys, nothing like that. You can post on Facebook and say, hey, I'm working on this project, I need to talk to teachers. That's okay to source who you need to talk to. Nothing's wrong with that. So let me show you these quick tools. Who is a Twitter person on here? Anybody have a Twitter account? Yeah. Twitter is a freaking gold mine if you know how to do it and use it. So at the top right, there's this search. And what you can do is, let's say I've got a student loan. Student loans are like $1.3 trillion in the US, big problem. It's about to go bust like the housing market. If I want to search for people that say do student loans at the top right, I type in the word student loan. And what pops up on Twitter are student loans, this person, restore bankruptcy, all this other stuff. If you click on latest, it's people that are currently posting about that in the most recent time. But there's this really interesting things that happen. People will say, hey, I wrote an article on this, whatever else. But if somebody has a problem with something and they're posting on social media, what's a word that you think if they had a problem they would use and associate with their post? Would they say I'm happy about my student loan? What would they say? Okay, so maybe, I mean, look at this one. The government screwed whatever. Maybe I put a cuss word in there and I put my damn student loan. There's going to be people that are on here talking about if we're on the latest. Day 4, student loan debt, this. I'm pretty sure my student loans are more of an emergency than a damn, like, people are complaining about this. Apparently we're building a wall in the US, I found out this week. So use Twitter to find out people that are expressing their frustration and send them a message and be like, let's talk. The other interesting thing that you can do is if we were doing this and we want to talk about pizza in Brisbane, all the people that love pizza, I would do the keyword, I would type in the word near, and I would put in an airport code, a city and a state, or a postcode. And now what happens is, I have no idea who this person is, Shannon Lee, but clearly they love pizza for some reason. If I click on it, notice that this person is probably going to be in Brisbane. So Twitter posts are geolocated, and you can find some interesting things. If I'm looking for a OB-GYN, a female doctor of sorts, I can click on people, and there are people that self-identify in their profile that say, hey, I am of this specialty. Dr. Lisa, practicing OB-GYN, I send her a message, hey, can we talk today? Anytime you're asking for somebody's time, give them 3 times that are working with your schedule. Don't be like, can we talk today? No. Can we talk today from 3 to 4 p.m.? I'm going to send you a video conference link. So be very specific in what you're asking. Twitter is a freaking gold mine on it. Last night, oh, they're not here yet. Who's on Reddit? Reddit is another gold mine. I was coaching one lady, and she's a bigger lady, and her problem in her life, and apparently other friends of her that are large, and I didn't know this was an issue, women have issue with finding bras that fits, and then once they, so you're shaking your head. Yeah, regardless of the size, women have a problem with finding a bra that fits. So what happens whenever you find a bra that you love? You buy that brand. How many times have you purchased it, go back to purchase another one 6 months later, and what happens? It's not there. So that is I used to like it, I can't find the product now. If you go to Reddit and people identify as neurologists, cardiologists, rocket scientists on here, but there's also these things called subreddits. So I was like, hey, let's talk about bras. And there's literally a subgroup. Apparently you can swap bras on. That's a new one. It didn't do it. So there is a group. It used to show up at the top, but it's called. The subgroup is called Big Boob Problems. That's one of them. There's 108,000 people that are selectively in this cohort that say, hey, I've got a problem with finding bras that fit. You can message anybody that posts on there and say, hey, I've got a product that does this, let's talk. It's amazing. Now there's also something else you can do with online forums, is if you want a reaction from someone, don't state what you know, state the opposite. So if I wanted to get a real gut reaction from people in this forum, I would post on there and be like, you know what, I never have a problem with buying a bra. It's just so simple. They always have my size, and they always keep it in stock. What is going to be the reaction on the forum? You're fucking wrong. Let me tell you in 27 different ways. It'll become a flame war, but what happens during that flame war? Data. People coming in, and you just start messaging them. So Reddit, by God, is just an amazing thing. Who's on Google News? Google News is an amazing product. It's free because you are the product. That's a different story. So I pay attention to Google News. I like seeing trends. But if you were dealing with a certain industry, you can find some of the problems that are out there. So something that happened a couple years ago, and I would love for somebody to make a product off of this. So a pram in the US is called a stroller. So there are recall notices that whenever somebody buys something, the company has to voluntarily do something. They have to make an attempt to contact their consumers, say, hey, we made something that's going to kill your baby. And one of these companies called Bretax made one, and they had to recall 700,000 strollers. Imagine if they had to pay $1 on the postage to send a postcard out there to everybody. That's $1 million problem just like that. And it happens way too often. So one of the things you can do, you can go to a news story, find a person or a company that's quoted, and then find them on LinkedIn. What I'm showing you next, some people in some jurisdictions call it stalking, but it's really not stalking. So I'll leave that for you, and you can decide whatever you want to see. So whenever I was looking at this, I was like, well, how can I find out more information about this? So this company is called Bretax. And if you go to it, the reason that people don't who has kids in here? Like, how old are your kids? They're 3. Whenever you purchased your pram, what did you do with the registration card? You put it in your files, you didn't mail it in. So here's why she didn't fill it in, is because she's a new mom. It asks for all this information that the company already has, they just didn't make it easy. And the registration looks like this. She can do it online, but do you think a busy mom is going to go through all of this shit? They're not. So I wanted to make a product that would allow mom to scan in the UPC code in the receipt, has all this information, stores it online, and just submits it. So as soon as there's a recall, you get a push notification. Charge $1 million per company per year. It's not a bad little system. But I'm like, how do I figure out who's actually doing this? So here's the process to find somebody at a corporation to talk to. You get, first of all, Bretax is the name of the company. You go to LinkedIn. You search for the company at the top right, Bretax. What's going to come up, and this is really not stalking, but we'll see what you all think about it. So you can come here, see all the companies, and once you see them all, you can click on it, and you can then say, hey, show me all the 492 employees on LinkedIn. And you're like, well, this is still a lot of people. Do I really not need to talk to the business ancillary? It turns out you're not. You click on all filters, and you say, all right, I don't need to talk to a VP person. I need to talk to somebody else. Maybe their job title could be senior manager. They're not low, they're not high, but they're accessible. So you click on apply, and you find somebody that looks friendly. Claudia, to me, looks pretty friendly. She's smiling there. I'm a 3rd degree connection. I'm unable to send her a message unless I pay. And no one reads the paid ones. So here's what you do. you take the company website, retax.com, you go to this tool called hunter.io, you type in the company name, and you click on find email addresses. What hunter.io does, if you type it in without the period, is it'll say, hey, we believe that the email pattern for this company is this. Stage 1. It's not, hey. It's not stalking yet. It gets slightly weirder. And then let me show you a cool, who has a Gmail account here? Okay, get a Gmail account, it's pretty nifty. So watch what happens whenever I hover over somebody's name. So this is Robbie who works here. Watch what happens on the right-hand side of my screen whenever I hover over Robbie's name. His LinkedIn profile shows up. But that's because Robbie and I have been emailing one would think. But then there's this amazing thing that happens, that this tool has a slight flaw, that anytime you type in somebody's email address, such as if we know it's Claudia, and the email format says first name dot last name at retax.com. If I hover over that email address and there's an associated email address with that LinkedIn account, her pretty little photo should show up to the right. There's Claudia. I now know that this email address has a valid human being behind it in the industry and the company I need to contact. Are we a little bit weird? Use this. It's an amazing tool for customer discovery. I use it about 5 times a week. Now you may be saying, Daniel, what does an email look like? Well, it looks a lot like a customer. So the way that I format my emails is this. Let me find it. So here's the way, whenever you're introducing yourself to somebody in the, going out and talking to somebody, the first thing you need to ask for is help. Hey, I need your help, or the better thing is, everybody here is a student for this exercise. So you need to say, hey, I'm a student taking a class this weekend trying to learn more about whatever industry you're in. What do we do with students whenever they ask for help? We help them. You're a student. Use that as an opening. And I do this. So one of the products I'm trying to bring on market right now is for the hospital industry to allow patients to view discharge videos that are taped well before they have the procedure, and they have the ability to play at home. There's a whole bunch of benefits. So here's what I do. My email subject line always says help. Whatever it is, I disarm them and I tell them I'm not trying to sell you anything. I tell them how I found out about them. I give the request, and then I give 3 times that work with my schedule for us to talk. That's it. Simple, he knows what it is. Turns out, he responds back, hey, he's got it, he sent it to me, and we're now talking about this product. This is the lead research on it. It's okay to ask for somebody's help and time, and that's sort of the email format that I work. You disarm, I'm not trying to sell you anything, you give a little bit of contextual things, you give your ask, and you give a clear next step that somebody can quickly respond to. Never, ever, ever in your professional life should you say, hey, let's meet next week, because you just gave that person the task to write out their open times to send to you for you to verify, and it becomes a 14-long email chain. Don't do that, it's rude, and it's really weird. So there you go. The last thing I'm going to show you is, as a Facebook, I'll show you 2 things. One, if you need a slide deck or pictures or anything, I've got a subscription to this service, so if you want an iPhone picture or a slide deck or something like this, I can give you all this video, pictures, slide decks, stuff like this for free. It's made by professionals. You just have to fill out a form that you'll see on that website. It's a pretty cool tool. Last thing I want to show you, Facebook. How much do Australians pay to use Facebook? It's free. So in the business equation that a company has a product that they charge revenue for, and they earn an income, what are we as users to Facebook? We're the data, which makes us the product. You're like, well, what the hell does this have to do with it? So what you need to do is, let me close out of these messages, is everybody has the ability to do this. So if we go to the top right and we click on Manage Ads, you have the ability to create a Facebook ad and not get charged with it, so you can figure out your target demographic. I've got a different account that you just step through this process. And what you need to do to figure out your target demographic is go in here and create a fake account. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to go to Ads. Actually, don't do this. Don't create an ad. Actually, we will. So I'm going to create an ad. Campaign does, ooh, they switched it. We're going to send traffic to a website. It doesn't matter because we're not going to do anything with it. Click on Continue. How many people are in Brisbane? What's the population? 1.2 million. So one of the things that you can do is you can come in here and say, hey, show me all of Australia, or you can say, hey, give me Brisbane. And notice what happens at the top right. It's now 1.9 million people. That's great. You can now come down here and say, oh, well, it turns out I want to talk to people that are vegan, vegetarian. Ooh, they're not doing it. They changed it. Or the internet's not. Yeah. Vegetarianism. There we go. My 1.9 million now goes to 270,000. You want to know how many vegetarians are in Brisbane? There's your answer. It's pretty damn close. The other thing that you can do is you can say, hey, I need to exclude people. So I want to exclude people that, for some reason, they have a relationship status. It should be, oh, they did it. They changed it. Oh, not an interest. So there used to be a way. So relationship status. They changed it. Used to you could search for people that had certain relationship statuses. Maybe it's here. Narrow. There you go. Relationship status of single. You want it to be in Brisbane, vegetarian people that are single, that are, say, women between ages of 25 and 38. Now we have 13,000 people. This just happens to be my dating pool. Now, what you can do with this is you can take out a Facebook ad and get people to go to a website that you set up through the MVP processes that you're going to learn next. This is what we call figuring out your target market and who's doing what. You know how much you had to pay to figure out that there were that many vegetarians in Brisbane? 6-month-long study, $100,000 just like that. We give up the information pretty easily there. So that's all I have for you. Your charge is to talk to 50 people, open-ended questions, and the reason that you want to ask that last question of what's the best way to get in contact with you is because you're going to take this information, come back to your team, and then you're going to contact them later on this afternoon and say, hey David, everything you told us at Bunning was absolutely phenomenal. Based upon your feedback, we created this. And you send them screenshots, and you're like, is this what you were talking about? You wanted it, and the person is like, oh my God, that's exactly what I was talking about. Shut up and take my money. And you're like, yes, I can do that. The best thing for you to do is, if you do get to the point where somebody's like, shut up and take my money, let them take their credit card out of their wallet, which means they're getting ready to pay anyway, and be like, oh, you know what, my credit card reader's broken, I don't have the legal process of that. Or get somebody to bill pay you, or through, what is it, iPay? Is that what it is? Pay ID? Yeah, some way to do that. So take people's money, it's totally okay. If you need help with this, I'm happy to help. All the coaches in the peppermint colored shirt have done this, do this on a regular basis. We're just here to help. Questions?
What was the LinkedIn?
That's called LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's a Google Chrome extension, so you go to the Chrome store. It's on the web, it'll be on the website in about 20 minutes. Okay. Questions? Yeah, I recorded it, and I'll throw it up on YouTube so you can watch it again. My jokes aren't as funny on YouTube as they are in person, so that's sort of your problem. So, anything else?
Is there a place where you upload like step by step?
Step by step, no. If you really want that, I can make it happen. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. My virtual assistant's going to do it. Right, I'm not going to do it. She'll just dictate that. Any other questions? Yes. No. They're working on their own businesses. You can't ask the people in here. Other startups here are not your customers. They may have contacts, so you may say, hey, we need to talk to doctors, and somebody's significant other's a doctor. That's okay. But don't take it 20 minutes at a time. It's inappropriate. How are we feeling? So your goal, 50 people minimum. The more people you talk to, the more richer things will get. If you get stuck, let us know. This between about 11 and lunch, we want you to get out of this building, at least half of the team, and go and talk to people. If you have to go to Rockhampton because there's a conference going there, fucking get in the car and drive to Rockhampton. Get on the train. It only costs you $200. All right. So yes.
Will the judges on Sunday be really impressed by each piece of validation?
So on their scoring sheet, the very first question is, how many people did you talk to? So yes, and they're instructive. You don't say that. They will ask you how many people did you talk to, and it's got to be a number greater than 1. The second thing is that going out there and finding out what works and what the market doesn't want, or what they are willing to pay for, goes a longer way. Money usually trumps anything else, a pretty little demo. If you can say, hey, we started out with this idea, but we changed this, and we had people paying within 24 hours, the judge will be like, that's phenomenal. If it's just an idea that you talked about your group, they're going to gloss over you and be like, that's cute, but it's not a real business. Validation lets you take the next stage, which is creating the early stage product. You create the product based upon what you learned today. And then you present on the business model that supports the product that's supported by your customer discovery and validation. If you don't do this, you're shooting, well, you can't have guns in Australia, but in the States we would say you shoot yourself in the foot because everybody has a gun. But that's a different story. So, I mean, Baden, is your experience different with doing these? Yeah, okay. Validation is key. I do it every day. I encourage you to do it too. And if you need practice, something I found out about the Australian culture is customer service people, like at a bakery or a coffee shop, hate to be asked questions. In the States, what you do, you go to a new bakery, you've never been there before, or a coffee shop, and you say, hey, what's the best thing on the menu? And the barista will just tell you. Here, they're like, you want my opinion? Yeah, you eat here every day. I need to know, but you clearly know more than I do. So if you need practice, go to a coffee shop and ask an open-ended question. And the best open-ended question for a coffee shop or a restaurant is not, what's the best thing on the menu, because they're going to tell you the most profitable thing that makes them the most money. The best question to ask is, what's the last thing you ate here? Previous behavior dictates future behavior. If they never recycled before, their behavior states they're not going to change. All right, so we've got one more presenter, I think, for a quick MVP. You want to hook up? I'll just go forward from there. So this took a little bit longer, but hopefully your arm has some password. This is the hardest thing you're going to be doing, but we'll show a couple more tools. Are you Mac or PC?
PC.
There we go. I don't have the dongle for that. And the crew that went to Bunnings, the Boober, can you tell what? So we had an earlier stage. So I was working with them last night, and I said, hey, your customers are going to be at Bunnings. Are they going to go to Bunnings at 3 p.m. today? When are people going to go to Bunnings that are traders? So we had you all deploy there this morning. Share with us what happened.
Yeah, cool. So I'm obviously here because Bunnings share our joy, but I'm very polite about it.
So just to clarify, you got kicked out.
That's exactly what I'm
You get a high five for that. Her team hustled so much that they bothered the management, and they're like, "You're doing such a good job, get away." But how many Bunnings are there in Brisbane?
And actually, so we're using a combination of fixed and open-ended questions, and it's already started.
Hey, I'm Chris. I'd rather not use a microphone, but if anyone up the back can't hear me, please put your hand up and I'll grab the microphone. No hands are up? Fantastic. I will project my voice. All right, so like I said, my name's Chris, and I'm here to show you how you can build an MVP in 24 hours. In fact, you can build an MVP pretty quickly, quicker than that, but I'm going to go through today and show you some. So I'm from a company called That Startup Company. We build workflows using Zapier. We also build software as services businesses, and we also build MVPs. So we've probably built maybe 50 to 60 no-code MVPs. That means we build stuff that people think is a real software product, but behind the scenes is just running off a bunch of free tools. So, if you want a copy of the slides, anything else I talk about, just go to this URL and you can grab it. But just to start, how many people are familiar with, I'll flick back, don't worry. How many people are familiar with at least one logo on this slide? How about two? Keep your hand up, keep going. 5, 10, 20, 30. Yeah, you know what I was going to do. There's only 25 up there. I'm seeing who's just keeping their hand up. And this is it. This is how you build MVPs. You join all of these different tools together using native integration that's built into the tool, and you build out a workflow. And you have multiple workflows that go together, and all of a sudden you realize that, hey, if someone fills in my form, I can send them a text message. If someone fills in my form, I can run a calculation and send them an email. Someone can fill in a form and get their details, and I can send them a complete subscription agreement in order for them to buy shares in my company. You can do all of that by using these tools. So I'll go back to this if you want to take a quick photo, or go to the URL. And so while we're doing that, how many people are familiar with the term MVP, or minimum viable product? Awesome. Can you put your hand up if you're not familiar with it? Okay, cool. So usually we spend a bit of time talking about what actually is an MVP, but I'm aware that you need to get out of the building today, and so I don't want to stand up here for an hour stepping you through this whole process. So what I'm actually going to do is give you a couple of examples. Now, I always start with Kanye text. Kanye text is probably the thing that I'm most renowned for, and it is a website that will send you Kanye West quotes. You type in your friend's phone number, and we will send your friend somewhere between 10 and 100 Kanye West quotes. We've got another version of this that sends Donald Trump text. We've also got another version that sends Seinfeld quotes. When we first put this together, we had never built a no-code product before, and this was actually the first thing we built without any code. And we made that discovery that, oh my God, you can actually build products without having to write any code. And this is what Kanye text was. Now, some people are like, well, that's pretty dumb, and I totally agree. But the most stupidest thing, the most ridiculous thing about it is we've sent over 15,000 Kanye West quotes. And we charge people for it. People pay to send their friends Kanye West quotes. It's not like a huge problem. I don't think anyone in the audience is sitting here, you know what would really make me feel better today? Kanye West quotes. But still, it was a silly thing that we put together, and for us it was the stepping stone to help us understand how to build more sophisticated minimum viable products to validate business problems. And we use everything that we built out of Kanye, we use over and over and over. The payments, the text messages, the notifications, the looking up of quotes, all of that stuff we use. So this is the textbook definition of a minimum viable product, but I like to think of it as build the laziest thing you can in order to test a market. Test your validate the problem that you're actually putting out there. So I'm going to skip over some of this, but I want to show you this. This is an MVP. And the reason it's an MVP is purely based on the fact that does the person walking through the turnstiles actually care what's happening behind the scenes? Do they still get the value that they're expecting out of walking through the gate? Does it actually matter what is going on? No. What you realise with building an MVP is most people don't actually care what's going on behind the scenes. They're paying you to deliver value, and how you do that is irrelevant. You could do it by your hands, you could do it yourself, you could build something with no code that's Excel in a type form, and you're manually sending emails. People literally don't care as long as you provide the value. And once I realized that, it changed my whole mindset about building an MVP. I used to want everything to be perfect and, oh, it must be automatic, and it must do this, and it must, but no, it doesn't matter. All that matters is you actually give them the value. That value exchange happens. They give you money and you provide them value. And so this is the standard photo that's shown about how to properly build an MVP. And the saying goes, don't do the top thing because people can't use it until the last step, do the bottom thing. But I was talking with a friend of mine, Chris Rathke, and he actually has a completely different opinion. He thinks that even step number 1 is too much. He thinks your first step should be this: using your hands, doing it yourself, doing it manually, not even building anything. And the saying that he always says is, be more Australian, be lazy. Just be lazy, but work hard to be lazy. So essentially what he's trying to say is, don't build anything for your first MVP. Your first MVP, you're going talking to people and manually doing it yourself. Because it's only once you've manually done it that you can actually understand what it is that you need to build. Otherwise, you're going to spend hours trying to build something, you're going to release it to the people you think want this, and they're going to be like, nah, that's not really it. And you have to go back to the drawing board, build it all again. So do it with your hands first, and then develop the product. So I'll skip over all this and I'll jump into the more interesting parts about how you actually build an MVP. So lots of different things I've built. Here are just a few of them. I've already spoken about Text. I had Lisa Engine that sent curated content for small to medium businesses in order to post on a social channel. Then we have car values, which I'll talk about in a second, and I've also got a payment business that actually does payments similar to Afterpay for the education sector, and that is all built using Gravity Forms, Stripe, Airtable, Twilio, and we've processed over $500,000 on the MVP that we built without any code, no developers. And so that has validated that problem and been able to deliver a solution that people get value out of. So when you build an MVP, there are 2 different ways you can do it. The first one is you can try to come up with a few workflows that are going to start to automate the process, or you can just find something else that is 90% or 80% of what you want and you just retrofit it. So a great example of that is if you want to do an online store, what is the first thing you probably want to do? Sign up for Shopify. That is what I would do. Sign up for Shopify, see if anyone buys. People are buying from you, then you can think about if you need to expand beyond Shopify. So find something that kind of already does it. We built a social network for one of our businesses in order to basically allow the students to communicate with their trainers and other people. We use Mighty Networks. When it was pitched to us, they were like, oh, we want a social network. It would be like Facebook. We'll hire some developers and build it. I'm like, let's just use Mighty Networks. It does the job. And it does. It still works. And there's over 55,000 students using it. Once again, something that we've retrofitted. But if you're looking at doing communities, you can use Mighty Networks. You could use Slack. You could use Facebook. You could even set up a WhatsApp group. And if you wanted to pay people to join your community, you can use the feature in WhatsApp to actually charge people to join your group. So you don't need to develop your own social platform. You literally are already using these tools. If you're looking at doing payments, look at Stripe, look at Shopify. It can act as an e-commerce store and a payment facilitator for you. And it can just be a one-page, make a purchase, use a template, you're all good. If you're looking at doing a marketplace, a 2-sided marketplace for, say, dog carers or something similar to that, you can use WordPress with ShareTribe or Astoundify laid over the top. It's a plugin, and it gives you that ability. But honestly, don't jump to that. The first thing you should be doing if you're doing a 2-sided marketplace is trying to find people and connect them manually. Because on Sunday, when you're up here pitching, and they say, oh, did you validate the problem? And you say, yeah, we connected 8 people, and we took a cut of X dollars when we did it. That is more powerful than actually saying, oh, we have a prototype that works and it looks nice, but no one's actually used it. Validation comes into that value exchange. So try to get to that point as quickly as you can. If you're looking at doing chatbots or anything to do with customer service, look at Zendesk. There's free trials for most of these tools, or Octane AI, or even ChatFuel. ChatFuel, and there's another one called ManyChat. It can build you a chatbot, no code required, drag and drop interface. Anyone can actually build a chatbot using those tools. And then if you're looking at trying to automate something a bit more in depth, there are disparate systems you're trying to connect, use Zapier. You can also use Airtable. And if you're trying to just put together a quick landing page, look at something like Instapage. It has templates all ready to go. You don't need to mess around with WordPress if you don't have experience. But ultimately, the best thing to take away from this is use the tools you're familiar with, especially at a startup weekend. Sometimes this can be a great place to learn a new tool, but if you're going to spend 8 hours trying to learn it when you already know how to use something else, just use something else. Just use something else. Just something that you're already familiar with. So then we come on to the other tools. So if you want to take a photo of this, this is essentially my list of 25-ish tools that I use day in, day out. These are my bread and butter, and this is what I use to solve 99% of the problems that I need to, that I build out the workflows for. These are the tools that I use. And so rather than you trying to search far and wide for the best tool, just look at one of these. And so I'll take you through each of these tools in a bit and just give you a quick rundown so you can have a pen and paper ready and you can write them down. But before we get into that, let's just talk slightly about how these workflows work. So using Zapier, what you can actually do is you can start with a trigger. So this is the point where we start. So it could be someone fills in my form. And then after that, you say, well, then what do I want to do? Well, I've taken the answers from the form. I've got a name, an email address, and a phone number. And so now I'm going to take the phone number, and then I'm going to take the email address, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to send an email. So my next step, Mandrill, is an email tool, and I will send out an email to that person. When you start to build more involved MVPs, these steps get longer and longer, or they start to crisscross it over each other. And so using something like Zapier allows you to do that. And there's a 14-day free trial on Zapier, so you can use it over the startup weekend. And what it allows you to do is essentially build out these automations. And they've got all these templates built for you. You just need to think through, well, how are we trying to add value to our customer? What is the trigger point and the contact point of the customer? Are they filling in a form? Are we filling in a form? Are they making the purchase? What's happening that we can use as our trigger? And then how are we going to deliver the value to them? And then you build the connections between them. And so if you want to go check out Zapier, all the details are there, but this is kind of what the interface looks like. And so you can see that they've used Woo Forms, which allows you, it's just a form builder, and when you fill that in, it adds it automatically to your MailChimp. So if you're looking to build, say, a nurture program, you can get someone to fill in a form, get them automatically added and segmented into your MailChimp account, and then you follow them up with a series of emails. And those emails could be an hour apart, they could be a day apart, they could be a week apart. But this is something that we use a lot to try to convert leads. Over a startup weekend, I'd be always asking for a phone number and just call them. Just call them if you get anyone filling in your form. As you're going to get way more from talking to someone on the phone than trying to email them. And when you are emailing someone, your goal is really to try to meet with them face to face or to try to get a phone call. So just skip that step and just go call them. So like I said, this is the prototype stack. And like I had mentioned previously, I've won a couple of startup weekends, and the tools we used was called car values, where we basically ripped a list of all of the Honda Jazzes that were available on the used car market. We put them into a spreadsheet, and I drew a graph, as you can see here. I printed that out, and I took it to car dealers, and I stood at car dealers on Saturday morning and asked people looking at Honda Jazzes, oh, how much do you think this car is worth? The problem we were trying to solve was about people overpay or underpay for their underpay. They overpay for their vehicles because they don't know how much it's actually worth. And car dealers are essentially have all of the information you have none. They've done this hundreds of times before and they manipulate you into paying more. And they say things like, oh no, this colour is a rare combination, or this engine type is a rare combination, or this one's done low kilometres for the price. And so using this, it allowed everyone to see, oh, that isn't actually true. And so after getting kicked out of several car dealers, we eventually got someone who actually paid us $20 for this report to help them negotiate the rate of the car down. And so something as simple as that, an Excel file with a bunch of data, was our MVP. And we ended up winning Startup Weekend, and that was our first version, and we went on and actually created a tool that automatically did it. But there's a couple of other examples as well. We did Lisa Engine, where we just used Typeform, and we had a payment processor built in, and we got messages from people saying that it was the best onboarding experience they've ever experienced for a startup. And I had to tell them that we just used Typeform. So using something like Typeform, you can actually get people involved in your product. It feels like a real product, but it's a 15-minute form that you've set up. So have a look at that. And that's how it worked. And so now I'm just going to skip already mentioned Typeform. It's a form builder, and it makes it really easy to use. You can give people the link, you can embed it in a website, but it's one of the best form builders that you will ever use. You can actually make it feel like an actual product rather than just someone filling in a Google form. And there are other things as well, like Gravity Forms. If you're familiar with WordPress, they essentially do the same thing. And Instapage is great for landing pages. So if you're trying to build a landing page really quick, use Instapage, sign up for the free trial, and just use it over the weekend. Don't spend time trying to create your own beautiful WordPress site. It's literally a waste of time unless you've done it hundreds of times before. This will allow you to pull a template, and I use templates from Instapage that get about a 25% conversion rate. So it means 25% of people that land on the page fill the form in. And I'm not some kind of conversion rate optimization genius. I literally use a template and change the pictures, and that was it. So you can use something like Unbounce, very similar to Instapage. Use whichever one you're familiar with or you like the most. If you're trying to do payments, check out Stripe. Really easy to use, and if you sign up for a Stripe account, you can actually send someone a invoice to pay just through Stripe. So it's a really quick way to start accepting payments. You may need to have a PTY LTD, but I think you get about 7 days before you actually need to send them all of that information, so you could sign up and take payments using that. If you're looking to create an app, use something called prototyping on paper, where you physically draw the app screens. You draw them and you say, this button, I want it to open this page. And you draw it, you take a photo, and that's the thing that you take to your customers and get them to actually do it. And the best part about using something like this to do the prototyping is that people don't focus on your branding, your color, all of the other nonsense that goes along with an app. They focus purely on what the object is. What are they trying to achieve? And that's the feedback they give you, and that's what's more important, not whether or not they like the name of your business, whether or not they like your colors in your logo, stuff like that. Fluid is a bit more advanced. It's not just drawing a picture. You actually draw it on the computer screen or on your laptop or wherever you want to do it, and you can actually make a bit of a fully formed MVP. Same with this one as well, which is InVision, which allows you to draw and mock up an entire tool, an entire workflow, and we've used this several times, and this is one of the examples that we drew when we were doing one about payment processing businesses. And so we took this to students as well as to educators, including accountants and other people who work for these education businesses, and we got their feedback, and it was through doing this that we actually were able to solve some of the user interface issues that we were struggling with. It was only through their feedback that allowed us to understand that. And so as you can see, you make it fairly sophisticated, so it seems like it's a real product, but actually anyone without any code can do it, and then once you've validated that, you can move forward. AppSheet is another tool. It uses Google Sheets in order to create an actual mobile app. I haven't used this one yet. A friend of mine suggested it to me, and he used it for doing it was an app for vets in order to know where they're going. So there were vets that would go to people's houses, and he used this in order to build it. So check that out if you're looking at a mobile app that has some location stuff involved. And so then I can keep going through all of these. If you want me to slow down, give me some feedback. Is this all right? Yep. Feel free if you've got any questions, just ask me at the end, and I can give you a bit more detail on any of these. So, that one's Google Sheets. It's the most underrated tool ever. Seriously, you could run everything on Google Sheets. You could run your entire life on Google Sheets if you wanted. So if you're not using Google Sheets, I would strongly suggest you take a look at it because it's a great tool for prototyping. If you put your hand up if you know how to use Excel and do a calculation. Great, you know how to use Google Sheets now, and now you can link it to Zapier and you can spit out an answer and email it to someone. So you can actually build this workflow using Google Sheets to do the calculations behind the scenes. IFT is very similar to Zapier, but it's a one-to-one connection. Rather than Zapier that can do multiple stuff, this is really simple to use. They've got great examples, but it's more to like automating your own life, like get a notification when I get home, send an SMS to my partner when I leave the office, stuff like that. Zapier I've already mentioned, so I'll skip over that one. Databases. So Google Sheets is actually the only database you need. I'm just going to put that out there now. You don't need anything else. But if you did happen to want to use something else, look at something like Airtable. Airtable is a database that allows you to actually connect different data sets together. And I'm not explaining it very well, but you can use it as a dashboard as well. So if you wanted to send your customers a dashboard link so they can check the status of a payment or an order, you can use Airtable to do that. No code required, just a couple of clicks and you share the URL. I mentioned Google Sheets again because that's how universal it is. You can use it for basically anything you want. And I would skip CRMs at this point. Don't even think about using a CRM. If your business moves on into the future and actually grows and has more than 500 customers, then think about that. So outputs, this is probably the most interesting part. Outputs is actually how you provide the value to your customers. When they sign up, how do you actually provide the value? So if you're trying to do dashboards, use something like Clickfolio. You can pull in off a Google Sheet, you can pull in off an Excel file. And so if you're trying to graph something, check out Clickfolio. If you're trying to send text messages, trying to send emails, trying to phone people, trying to get people to call you or send you a text message, look at Twilio. It also allows you to build, without any code, a IVR system. So if someone rings a phone number, you can get them to like order a coffee. So one of the things you wanted to make was, how can we build a system to automate coffee ordering? But you can go to their site, there's a template, and it'll actually tell you how you can do it, and you just duplicate it. So there's a lot of templates built into all of these tools that I'm showing you to make your life easier. They know what people use these tools for, so use their templates. MailChimp is another one that's great for just sending emails and storing customer detail, but it's useful if you're trying to follow people up with an email. WebMerge I'm going to skip over, but it creates PDFs. So you can send a list of a Word document, send a type form answer in, and you can create a full-on PDF contract or a document that has calculations, like a report. This is what we should have used with car values when we were doing it. That's what we should have used, but we didn't. Airtable, again, I mentioned it earlier, so I'll skip that one. But like I said at the very start, the best answer is actually just to try to retrofit something else. So Chatfuel, if you're trying to do a messenger bot, just use Chatfuel. This is the Twilio template on how to do coffee ordering. You can look it up online, go to the website and search for it, but it's drag and drop. Like no code is required. Anyone could actually do this. If you know how to use Facebook, you probably know how to do this. Looks complex, but it's actually really fun. If you're looking at a hardware product, AliExpress is great for getting a prototype just sent to you and trying to sell it and see if it'll work. Probably not ideal for a startup weekend, as you probably would have had to order it 30 days ago. And Kickstarter, if you're trying to get something off the ground and see if people are actually interested. And Shopify, like I mentioned, is a fantastic way to start taking payments online. Even if you're not an e-commerce store, you can set up a one product page and sell a report, sell your time, sell your product, and link Zapier to automate behind the scenes the welcome emails and everything. So ultimately, if you can avoid it, don't actually build anything. Try to find stuff that's already there, join it together, and just recycle it. That is actually how you build an MVP. People aren't going to tell you that that's it. People like to say, oh no, I got a developer and I built this. No, I'm happy to put my hand up and say, no, I'm a no-code developer, and I bet you I can build something quicker than actual developers can. And I know that's a bold claim, but I know there are people in the room that have known me for a while, and they would probably say, yep, that makes sense. So here's the prototype stack. Take a photo of it, go and explore these tools and actually build yourself a prototype this weekend, but make sure that you build the right thing. So do it by your hands first, talk to your customers, figure out what they actually want before you build anything. Come back, build it, have something ready for tonight, and you'll be well positioned to win. Also make sure you ask for money. I'm just going to, like you mentioned it, ask for money. Remember the first time we went to a startup weekend, we never asked for money and somehow we happened to win. The second time we went to a startup weekend, we asked for money and we made over $1,000 just because we asked for money. Everyone was actually willing. If you find the right problem, people are willing to pay for it. And even if it's $5, even if it's $20, it doesn't matter. The point is that they gave you money for it. And the other secret is you can just refund them at the end of the weekend if you never build the product. Cool, so there's that URL. It's got some information. I wrote an article a couple of years ago about how to win a startup weekend, the ultimate guide to a startup weekend. Check it out. It pretty much reiterates everything that I just said today, but in text if that's how you would rather consume it, and it's got a list of all the products and everything as well. So I'm Chris. I'll stick around for a bit. Ask me any questions that you might have. That's it.
Cool.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chris. So, I can see all of y'all's eyes were giving you a lot but here's what happens next. The last tool that we're going to show you is how you take all this information and you put it on a single piece of paper, and it manages the chaos. Whenever I shared last night that as I was holding your piece of paper, I was going through a process. I was using this tool mentally to put everything you did in 9 very simple, easy to understand boxes. I don't know about in Australia if it's happening, but in the US, a 30-page business plan is no longer something you do. In the US, you can get money off of your early stage traction, taking money from people, and then showing them your business model canvas. Investors don't have enough time. They're the resource that everybody's trying to go after, so they streamline things and they can look at this. So I encourage you to make use of the next tool called Business Model Canvas. This and the other links, I just updated part of the website that I gave you earlier, and all that's going to be on there. So this is going to take about 10 minutes, then it's you all break, keep on eating, get coffee, come up with your open-ended questions, figure out where you're going to go and get to that number 50 as soon as possible, so that after you talk to people, then you build whatever they told you to build, and then in the afternoon you send it to them, and there's a little option for them to pay. That's like the key thing that you want to make sure you do. So, without further ado, let's give a nice big startup weekend welcome to Nick.
How incredible were all those tools? I don't know about you guys, but I feel like I'm going to create a whole bunch of new businesses just off your slide deck. I also want to mention that Daniel's wearing, is wearing my all-time favourite startup that isn't a tech company. He's wearing Allbirds shoes out of New Zealand from Wellington.
Do I need to come out here and follow?
Yeah, it's perfect. They're really good. Highly recommend them. They're made from merino. The most comfortable shoes we'll ever wear. I'm waiting for my next pair to turn up. Yeah.
If anyone would like them, $200.
If you travel a lot, no better shoes you can own.
I agree. I walked around Europe for 3 months or something. Well, 20K is a ridiculous amount.
All sorts of things. Anyway, if you use either of our codes, you get a discount. We get a kicker. Hey, so this is going to be really super quick. I know you guys are overwhelmed. Lots of information, lots of things flying at you. The idea. So I'm Nick Sherry, that's my Twitter. I'm here all day. I've been a kind of serial fuck-up founder for about 15 years now, so lots of different things from SaaS companies to co-working operations, which was my last startup, which I did for 10 years, for successfully, unsuccessfully exiting, but that's another story for another time. But yeah, I'm around, so if you want to ask any questions around customer personas, marketing, sales, hustling, just find me. What I wanted to talk to you guys about today was the Lean Canvas. So I'll just get to this. Have you guys all seen this before? Yeah, so it's available, obviously, go to the Startup Weekend site. By the way, I use beautiful AI as my tool for doing slide decks. I did this whilst I was standing at the top. Phenomenally good if you're not a very good designer and you don't know how to make things pretty. So I use beautiful AI as my little go-to kind of tool for whipping out presentations really great. And it feeds all open source stock imagery as well. So the Lean Canvas is a way for you to capture all of these different bits of information, everything that's been discussed previously when you're talking to clients, when you're talking to customers, when you're thinking about the hardware you're going to use, when you're thinking about the model. It's really a place that stuff lives. It's a living document. It'll keep evolving, keep changing, keep growing as the business grows. So it's really just a mechanism of you trying to frame all of these different pieces into one spot where you can all kind of talk about it. Usually within the businesses that I do, myself and my co-founders will work on different areas that we have a stronger focus to, and we'll kind of take a piece and go, right, well, I'll own the solution from a tech thing. Well, I'll own customer segments and personas. And it's really around you just starting to frame that stuff up. So use this tool. It's a really simple tool. It doesn't guarantee an amazing business, but what it does do is help you to actually understand the questions you should be asking and a way to capture those at the other end. So really straightforward. If you don't have it printed out, I'm sure we must be able to print them out here at RCL. So get on the site, download that, ask me any questions. I don't want to talk to you guys for too long because I feel like I've already had enough information. I'm around if you need any help with this, so just sing out. That's kind of it. Done. I think it was faster than 10 minutes. I think it was like 4 minutes. So yeah, so look, and I guess the other piece of Startup Weekend as well. How many of you have done Startup Weekend before? Wow, okay. How many of you done it more than 3 times? No? Okay, so this would be about the 17th one that I've participated in. And something that I always try and keep in the back of my head is, as an entrepreneur, you kind of sometimes feel a bit like a lone wolf and like you're out there trying to sort of carve your path. These weekends are a phenomenal way for you to actually meet your kind of tribe and kind of connect with your peer group and your community. So as much as it is awesome to build prototypes and learn those things in a really safe environment where there's really no consequence to kind of fucking things up, really. Also think about how you develop those kind of soft skills around understanding who would be a good co-founder, how would I deal with conflict within a business, how do I manage the fact that my idea might not be the idea that everyone else likes. So those things are really powerful as well, and those are things that come out of these types of events. So take it for what it is. It's a learning experience, it's a friendship building experience, and it's a bit of fun. So enjoy it. Go to it.
Next question.
Yes? Good leading question, which I'm now trying to go, how would he want me to answer that? Look, for me personally, I try and sort of look at how the money flows. So I have a tendency to use Sheets. I live in Google Sheets as my first mechanism around MVP and prototyping. That's just how I do it. I go, how would that money flow through? And then I start to plug that into some of the Canvas stuff. So for me personally, I kind of think about the model, the product, and how people will ultimately pay for it. I don't waste a lot of energy on things I don't think people will actually want to consume or pay for, just because you can just go off down a rabbit hole. But that's for me. Did I do all right? Good. He didn't throw anything, so that should be all right. Otherwise, any other questions, just find me. Good luck, have fun, you know, break some stuff, and build a phenomenal MVP. All right. Yeah.
Alright, so I'm totally updating this. YouTube links and everything we talked to will be on there. Your task, figure out how you're going to talk to 50 people by 1 or 2 o'clock today. Some will get done earlier, some later. The more information you collect, the better, so that you can create your MVP. Do not start coding anything until your team figures out the problem, what people want. If somebody says, you know what, if you're able to, yeah, I was just trying to talk to you, if you're going to solve this, be like, great, as a show of good faith, how about $10? Fucking take their money. $5,000, that's what I've seen one team do in 1 weekend, just by hustling and asking for people's money. There's nothing wrong with that. Take as much as you can. So that's on there. I'll continue to update this for us. The coaches can tell you about all this. You're probably overwhelmed. Go back, figure out what's most important right now to get to 50 people. And then if you need help with any of the automation tools, me, Troy, Baden, we'll be here. We've seen a lot of it before. We'll help you out. If not, we'll figure out the answer for you. So go forth, be awesome, get shit done.